Hi there, welcome along to Deadline Day. There's just under an hour until the deadline time is running out for clubs to complete the deals. In the last 15 minutes, Liverpool have completed the signing of Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich, but is Mo Salah heading to Saudi? We'll be live to Liverpool to tell you that shortly. Will Brennan Johnson complete his move from Nottingham Forest to Tottenham before the 11 o'clock deadline? We'll be live to Michael Bridge at Tottenham for the latest. Looking forward to that already. Manchester United have been busy today, but they're still trying to get one more deal across that line. Fati and Amrabat's move from Fiorentina is close. And Neil Maupay is at Brentford to seal a loan move from Everton. We'll be live there for you as well.
Hi there, welcome along. So many deals that could get done in the next hour. Let's go to Liverpool straight away, shall we? Vinny O'Connor is there for us. Vinny, we will talk Mo Salah in a moment, but let's start with a deal that was done, and you announced it in the last, 20 minutes or so. Ryan Gravenberch, tell us all.
That's right. Liverpool have completed their summer rebuild of their midfield with the signing of Ryan Gravenberch. They have, of course, been looking at it throughout the whole summer. We know, of course, that they tried to bring in Moises Caicedo. They tried to bring in Romeo Lavia as well. That didn't work out, but they've got a decent option here in Ryan Gravenberch joining them as well. He signed a 5-year deal. He's joined from Bayern Munich in a deal worth £34.2 million. As well. Bayern were pretty reluctant sellers, it has to be said. It was a difficult negotiation, but Liverpool able to get the deal done. He's been here pretty much all day, flew into Merseyside this morning. He had a medical this morning as well before doing the in-house interviews, etc., before that club announcement as well. There's a few quotes from him that basically sum up just how happy he is to be a Liverpool player. He says, I'm very happy that the deal is done and I'm finally here. If you see it from the outside, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. Also the fans, the stadium, I think everything from the outside is top. So that's why it was the right club. I'm really looking forward to being at Anfield and I can't wait to hear the You'll Never Walk Alone song. Now we start afresh again, a new start, and I'm going to give my all for this club. My ambitions are to win prizes, play a lot and show them who we are and who I am. And I think Jurgen Klopp feels that he's certainly got the talent to back that up as well. We know that he can play different roles in that midfield. He can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. He's more predominantly a box-to-box midfielder, I suppose. But he does have that versatility about him as well, which will bring a bit of flexibility. And Liverpool have tracked him for some time as well. In fact, before he signed for Bayern Munich, Liverpool were interested at that point, but obviously he opted to go to Munich instead. So Liverpool very happy with the deal that they've got done. He will wear the number 38 shirt, as I said. But in some ways, and you kind of alluded to it, Jules, it's been overshadowed somewhat by that news surrounding Mo Salah as well, because finally, after we've waited throughout this entire transfer window for a bid to come in, that bid did materialise from Al Ittihad. It was worth £150 million, an initial upfront payment of £100 million, rising to that 150, and Liverpool rejected it out of hand. They believe that the matter is closed now. However, of course, they can't legislate for Al Ittihad coming back with an improved offer, and our understanding is that they're debating whether or not to do that, and they certainly, one source has told us that they could go as high as £200 million. We know that they're looking to offer Mo Salah a wage of around about £1.5 million a week, which would make him the highest paid footballer in Saudi Arabia as well, were he to accept. But at the moment, Liverpool are staying firm that he's not for sale. It doesn't seem to have caused a problem with Mo Salah either. He trained as normal today. Certainly the information that we're getting is that he's maintained his standards. He's happy about the place. We saw him leave earlier today as well. It was around about 2:30 this afternoon. And when he drove out of the training ground, he was all smiles as well, albeit he didn't stop for the Liverpool fans who gathered outside. But they were pretty happy at the news that Liverpool have rejected that bid from easy for me to say, Al Ittihad. It's been a very long day. Liverpool rejecting that bid of £150 million, that £100 million down payment rising to £150.
It has been a long day, Vinny. You need to stay a little bit longer, but bed's not far off now. Thank you very much. Our senior reporter, Melissa Reddy, joins me now to talk Liverpool. Melissa, hi. Let's start with Gravenberch. We heard the comments from Vinny there, the quotes on the website. He says Liverpool's the right club for him. Is he the right signing for Liverpool?
Yes, Liverpool are banking on the potential of the player they fell in love with when he was at Ajax. We revealed on Sky Sports News last summer that he was actually on their midfield shortlist of 3. The players they really wanted, that they felt could grow into potential game changers. The other 2 names on that list were Bellingham and Tchouaméni, and we know how it turned out for them. But Gravenberch decided to go to Bayern. Instead, they made a very strong pitch for him. They were straight out of the blocks. It didn't turn out as expected there. They prefer Kimmich and Goretzka in their midfield. I was told it's very political there around the starting lineup. And so we only made 6 starts last season. But Liverpool are thinking, we're going to discount what happened at Bayern because he wasn't given a fair crack. We didn't see what he was capable of. What we saw in the player at Ajax was somebody who's very physically imposing, who's an elite ball carrier, who can aerially give teams an advantage and dominance in that regard as well. His versatility in that he can play on the left side of a double pivot, he can learn to play a single pivot, he can be a number 8, a very dynamic number 8. Jurgen Klopp feels that there's so much to work with. He's 21 years old, he's got a lot to learn. Dutch players, total football, they're very skilled at adapting positions. Klopp saw that himself, changing Gini Wijnaldum from a number 10 to a number 6. So lots for Liverpool to work with. They're pretty happy with the deal. In April, we reported on Sky Sports News as well that Gravenberch was enthusiastic about steering his career back on track, moving to Anfield, working with Jurgen Klopp. Bayern's position all summer was that he isn't for sale, and they needed to sort out the shape of their squad before they reconsidered their position. Liverpool famously went to work on other deals like Caicedo and Lavia, which didn't come off. But they now got one player that they chased for a very long time, and I think we're going to see why they were after him for so long.
It's interesting, there we are, Liverpool doing business in the last hour or so of the window. I think back to the start of the summer, they were one of the first teams out of the blocks in their transfer dealings. What have you made of the summer overall for them?
I think if Liverpool are being critical of themselves, they'll say that the balance is still a little bit off. There's a lot of offensive power in that team, not a lot of offensive protection, and the defensive side is a little lacking and concerning. With Gravenberch, maybe over time, they feel that he can develop into a proper number 6, more of a destroyer. They can teach him that side of the game. But in terms of what they've added, the versatility and the opportunity to enhance their creativity and their attacking output. Szoboszlai, for example, I think he's been one of the standout stars in the opening weeks of the season. He's really, really impressed me, especially without the ball. Liverpool went down to 10 men and he was doing the work of 2 midfielders anyway. I think they'll be pleased, but they know there's some weaknesses they haven't corrected.
OK, wait to see how Gravenberch and the rest get on as the season progresses. Vicky?
Yes. Lots going on as you two were speaking. We've got a bit of a development at Bournemouth in terms of the deal with Patson Daka. We'll bring you that very shortly. We'll go there. We've also got news about Southampton. We were hearing, weren't we, last hour, how there's a few ins and outs. Well, another out because Amrabat has completed his loan move to PSV. This is subject to international clearance, but they've confirmed that the 21-year-old joins the Dutch side. They're coming off a second-place finish in the Eredivisie for the remainder of the season. They wish him well. Talking of well, Brighton did well, didn't they? Because they pulled off one of the deals of the day, signing Ansu Fati on loan from Barcelona. James Green has been there since early this morning. Sorry about that, James. You pulled the short straw. But what a great straw for Brighton to get. How did they do it? One of the most highly sought of youngsters in the world.
Well, thanks, Vicky. Yes, it's been an early start. But look, for Brighton fans, they don't mind. They don't care if I'm outside the training ground early doors until late because they got their man. And as you said, I'm really glad you said it, Vicky, one of the signings of the day, potentially, and it could be one of the signings of the summer. Ansu Fati, 20 years old. He took on the number 10 shirt at Barcelona from Lionel Messi, made his Barcelona debut at just 16. He was the Spanish starlet. He became Barcelona's youngest ever goal scorer, became Spain's youngest ever goal scorer as well, played in the Champions League, represented his country at the Qatar World Cup, and now this season he'll be playing football at Brighton. Now, it sounds surprising, and I think if you look at Brighton maybe 5 years ago, you would understand why, but this is a different Brighton now. They've got European football this season. We've seen the Europa League draw. The fans are very excited. Trips to Ajax, Marseille and AEK Athens, but they've also got a manager in Roberto De Zerbi who is doing wonders in not just the results on the pitch, but developing the players on and off the field. Barcelona feel that Brighton is a good home for Ansu Fati for a season to get himself right back on track, back to where they want him to be. He's got a contract still at Barcelona until 2027. He's got a release clause that is one of the highest in world football at €1 billion. So you know how highly Barcelona rate him. It's one season, no option or obligation to buy, but it's a season that Brighton can certainly benefit. And it really culminates an extraordinary transfer window for Brighton. Started by them breaking their transfer record to bring in João Pedro. Midway through, they sold Moises Caicedo for a British record transfer fee of £115 million. And now they've prized Ansu Fati away from Barcelona for a season loan. It's a fantastic deal. It's a fantastic window for Brighton. They keep surprising everybody, and everybody around the club is excited to see what this young man can do in the Premier League. We won't be seeing him against Newcastle tomorrow, unfortunately for Brighton fans, but when he's ready, when he's fit and raring to go, they'll get to see what a real footballer Ansu Fati really is.
Yeah, they really will. Thank you very much, James. Sue, Chris and Clinton are still here with us, which is great news, as well as you being here as well, Clinton. Just joking. We want to talk about Ansu Fati because, I mean, he is, as James was saying, a remarkable player, and Barcelona felt it was the right move for him. That tells you everything you need to know about Brighton right now.
Yeah, and about the manager, nobody loves De Zerbi, and yeah, rightly so. He's an outstanding manager, and you can see why Barcelona want him to go and play his football there. They're in Europe as well. They got exciting players. You look on one wing, Matoma, Fati on the other wing, or maybe, but then you got Solly March, who's been outstanding. Probably, maybe feels unlucky not to get in and amongst the England squad at the moment. So a lot of attacking options. But as we say, they're in Europe as well. He had big talent. I remember when he did burst onto the scene at Barcelona. Outstanding player, wants to take people on one-on-one, can create, can score goals. But Brighton, does it surprise you? No, because their recruitment is one of the best around. They identify a player that can fit into the mould of how they want to play. I think it's going to be a brilliant signing. I'm excited to see how he does in the Premier League.
It's interesting you say that, because, Chris, they have got this reputation of getting players in and making them better. With this lad, I'm not sure they need to do that with him. I mean, he's just brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but at the same time, you know, you're looking at it from a point of view of, you know, you're moving to a different league, it's a different culture, it's a different challenge. But, you know, there's, as Clinton said there, Brighton did their homework, they know everything, they probably could be able to tell you what you had for your dinner last night. But it's got to be done, that's the modern day, that's why they're so successful in terms of their recruitment. You know, obviously European football this year as well.
Yeah.
Good group, Ajax, Marseille, Ajax Athens as well, so I'm sure they'll all be looking forward to that. But you know, I think for De Zerbi and, you know, Brighton as a whole, they'll want to continue, you know, the rise in the Premier League. They've shown that they can, not just there to make up the numbers. They want to push on, able to get the Europa League this year. It's going to be very difficult to get higher than that, but if they could sustain that level and compete in Europe, yeah, they'll be delighted. But again, you look at the recruitment side of it, and it's one thing that you know, it's the best in the world. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The recruitment, the money that they bring players in from, sell them on, it's unbelievable. And people say, you know, it's very difficult to keep going. I'm not too sure, because they've got scouts, they know everything, everywhere. And it's not a coincidence that they keep bringing in players and give them an opportunity. Fati's different, you know, in terms of he's already established at Barcelona, and it's maybe just an opportunity to give him game time, but he suits the way the manager wants to play. OK, Sue, I'm going to get your thoughts in just a minute on this, because we've got to move away for a moment. Brennan Johnson's having a medical at Tottenham, ahead of a £47 million move from Nottingham Forest. Michael Bridge is there waiting to talk to us. Michael, is this deal done yet?
Not done yet, Vicky, but it's close. Medical has been completed. So I'd say an announcement probably not too far off. We'll do a bit of in-house media, but it is close, Vicky, and medical has been completed. So Brennan Johnson will be a Tottenham Hotspur player for around £47.5 million. Spoke to one of his representatives earlier who said he's very, very excited about the move, and really acknowledged the fact that Ange Postecoglou wanted him. Ange Postecoglou was given a few players for potential loan offers, but this is the player the Spurs head coach here wanted to bring in, and it looks like he's got the person he's targeted for some time. Now, I've said all day, Vicky, that outgoings have been a little bit disappointing, one potential player who could still be on his way out at this very late hour, and that's someone who's been at this football club. I don't know why I'm looking back, it's pitch black, but Hugo Lloris. He's been at Tottenham Hotspur for 11 years, also the club captain for the majority of that. Spurs have allowed him to speak to Nice, a club he started his career at, played 72 games, so he's mulling over an offer there. He has a year left, but I'm told that Spurs will allow him to go on a free transfer. More on that as we get it. Another line that we are exploring and looking at is a potential late deal with Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea. Now, is this maybe a little bit too late? We'll find out very soon, because the deadline is now ticking along. But that's one little line we found out as well earlier. More on that as we get it. Now, I would say that Spurs and Chelsea would never, ever do business. It's such a rivalry. I think the last one they did was probably Gus Poyet. I'm sure someone will correct me, but I'm just thinking out loud here. But of course, Spurs were... Cudicini. Carlo Cudicini is more of a free, but yeah. But obviously there was interest earlier in Conor Gallagher. Now that didn't materialise because Pierre-Emile Højbjerg stayed in the end. He was had interest from Fulham, didn't go to Fulham, and didn't go to another club who were interested in him, Atletico Madrid. So few bits to finish off around here. I'm not going anywhere though.
All right, well that's good news for us. Thank you, Michael.
Less than 45 minutes to go of the transfer window in England. It's a midnight finish in Scotland. 11 p.m. the deadline in England. Time is running out for clubs to get their last bits of business done, but we know that deals are being made as we speak. Rejoin us after the break. Transfer window closes in less than 40 minutes in England. Chelsea's spending has surpassed the £1 billion mark now under Todd Boehly following the Cole Palmer signing. Let's get to Stamford Bridge. Paul Gilmore is there for us this evening. Hi there, Paul. Do you think Chelsea will be happy with the business they've done during this window? There's been quite a lot of it.
Yeah, Jules, there has been a lot of business. They will certainly feel like they've made progress. If you look at what last season was at Chelsea and the sheer difference in the squad and performances in such a short space of time, they will see that as progress. There will also be one side of an argument that suggests that a lot of these players are younger players and it's a bit of a project and it might take time. But one of the key things that they wanted to do and they have managed to do was to see off a number of those kind of more established senior players on high wages, and they have managed to move them on and bring in younger players, of course, including a central midfielder who is established in the Premier League in Moise Caicedo for over £100 million. So they have spent money. Whether they will be where they want to be to challenge for league titles immediately, time will tell with that. But certainly I think they'll feel that there has been progress made. And Cole Palmer today, as you rightly say, taking the spending to £1 billion under the current ownership, taking the spending this summer to more than Maurizio Pochettino had to spend as Tottenham head coach across 11 transfer windows. So that showing the major differences between the two clubs and their approach to transfers over the years. But yeah, progress made at Chelsea, and Cole Palmer, the last of those signings coming in from Manchester City today for Chelsea.
Paul, thanks very much indeed. Paul at Chelsea there.
Take risks.
OK, we're getting some breaking news regarding Bournemouth. You may remember that I told you just a few moments ago there was issues with the Patson Daka deal. I'm going to tell you that one now because the deal is off. It was for a season-long loan from Leicester with an option to buy in the summer, but that deal is off. They're working right up to deadline to get a deal over the line for the Leeds winger, Luis Sinestra, and he's currently having his Bournemouth medical, but there are still elements of the deal to be sorted. So lots going on with Bournemouth.
At Swansea line, just hearing now the talk between them and Bournemouth about Jamal Lowe. All parties have now agreed to extend the loan period until the end of the season. His contract at Bournemouth expires next summer when he will become a free agent. So expecting confirmation of Jamal Lowe and Swansea very shortly. Official confirmation shouldn't be far away.
Yeah, let's go back to Cole Palmer, though, with the guys, because it's interesting, isn't it, this situation, Manchester City allowing a deal between themselves and Chelsea. And I was looking at, Premier League clubs that don't normally talk to one another. You've had Havertz going to Arsenal, Mason Mount going to United, Kovacic to City. There's lots of things going on. Do you think there's a bit of a sea change here? What did you make of the deal there with Cole Palmer?
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised because of how well he started the season for Manchester City, and also Mahrez leaving. So I think that's a position where you look and think, right, he's going to get an opportunity. He's going to play more football for Manchester City. But then I listened to Pep Guardiola's interview, and it was a little bit vague. Does he want to be here? Does he want to go and play football? I'm not so sure he's going to play all the time for Chelsea. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cole Palmer, really, really big fan. And I think Chelsea have got a good player. But Chelsea have got an awful lot of good players and an awful lot of players in that position, and the list just keeps going on. So I think one thing with Manchester City and Pep, if a player isn't committed and thinking, right, I'm going to stay, I'm going to knuckle down, I see myself going to be in that team and I'm going to work to try and get it, you can go. They've got 43 million pounds.
Yeah, it's an
awful lot of money for someone who's not played an awful lot of football. So I think that's one thing with Pep. He doesn't stand in the way if the player seems like he wants to go.
But you think back to last summer when Pep and City let a couple of players go to Arsenal and it nearly came back to bite them on the bottom. Kovacic obviously has come into City, but letting Palmer out, is any chance this could come back to haunt them at all?
No. I can't see Chelsea challenging Manchester City or anywhere near it, and that's probably why they've said on you go. In terms of it's 100% the fee, there's no in terms of financial fair play. It's because he's come through the youth as well. So, I mean, I think for Manchester City, we've seen it before. I mean, I think it's over £150 million they've raised from youth players in the last period of time as well. So, you know, you do have to. It's a business at the end of the day. You have to balance the books, and you know, there's no doubt. I mean, who are we to sit here and argue with Pep Guardiola in terms of who he decides to move on from the football club? You know, maybe you never. I get the feeling with Pep Guardiola. Yes, when they're at the club, he wants the best for them. But I also think when people are leaving, a lot of managers will just be absolutely delighted to get some players out of the building. But I think he's probably looked at it and said, for Cole Palmer, it's the best for him to move on because he's not going to get game time here. You can go there and challenge, and I'll do my best for you to go and fulfil your potential. But it ain't going to be here at City.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, let's turn our attentions to Crystal Palace because they are looking to sign a defender. Vishali Bardwaj is there for us at the moment. So, Vishali, what can we expect in this final hour?
Well, as I mentioned in my last hit, we haven't yet had word on whether or not Crystal Palace are indeed interested in PSG's 21-year-old striker Hugo Ekitike. We are still looking into that, but the need for Palace to sign a player in that forward position is there following the loss of Wilfried Zaha in the summer. Michael Olise, of course, sustaining that hamstring injury that will keep him out of action until after the international break at the very earliest. And of course, their new forward player from Flamengo, Mateus França, not having yet featured due to a stress injury. So we'll keep you up to date with that. But as for defenders and incoming defenders specifically, well, Rob Holding has been having a medical at Crystal Palace as he looks to complete a £4 million move from Arsenal to the club. And of course, it's something that Roy Hodgson has wanted. He wants competition and cover across the pitch. And of course, in Rob Holding, a player who does have Premier League experience, he would certainly be getting that. Of course, he does have that now in goal following the arrival of Dean Henderson from Manchester United on a 5-year deal, a deal that was confirmed yesterday. So as things stand, Crystal Palace have signed 3 players in this transfer window. We are waiting confirmation for a potential 4th in Rob Holding. And if there is news on Hugo Ekitike, I will be bringing that to you shortly.
Brilliant. Thanks, Vishali.
We have 32 minutes left of this transfer window. We've got to go to a break, but we're just hearing there is some significant breaking news coming up in just a couple of minutes. Could it be your club? Find out after the break. A number of bits of breaking news to bring you here on deadline day. Let's start with Manchester United. They've got 3 deals done. They've been waiting on Sofyan Amrabat. Sani Rudravajala has been following United all day for us. What can you tell us, Sani?
Well, I can confirm that Erik ten Hag has got his man. Sofyan Amrabat is now a Manchester United player. He joins on loan from Fiorentina for £8.5 million. It's an additional fee of around £21 million that he can pay if they want to buy him after that. Moroccan international did really well at the World Cup for Morocco as they got to the semi-finals. Last play for Fiorentina in the Europa Conference League final, which he'd lost to West Ham, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a ball-winning player, brings the ball out, finds players to play with as well, and he is joining Manchester United. He says he followed his heart. He's been patient for this move, and Amrabat has got the move he's been wanting. We first reported this on Sky Sports News around lunchtime, and now as we approach deadline day and the clock going to 11 o'clock, he has signed for Manchester United. Sofyan Amrabat is a Man United player.
Sandy, thank you.
And we've got more breaking news. Nottingham Forest have got another deal done. I have lost count. One man who hasn't. Rob Dorsett. What's the details for us, Rob?
Almost lost count, Vicky, almost lost count, but Nottingham Forest have now completed their 4th signing of transfer deadline day, and it's the Greece international goalkeeper Odysseas Vlachodimos. Sorry, I beg your pardon, I'll give that another go. Vlachodimos. I've been practicing, I thought I'd got it sorted. We saw him arrive with his baby, having completed a medical about an hour ago. He's now signed on the dotted line and agreed a 4-year contract. £7.7 million fee from Benfica. So Vlachodimos is done, and as he was signing that contract, we saw another big potential signing for Nottingham Forest arrive here, and this is a really big one. This is Ibrahim Sangare from PSV Eindhoven. Forest wouldn't do that deal until they thought that Brennan Johnson was completed in terms of his deal with Tottenham Hotspur. They needed the cash to avoid financial fair play rules. £30 million they've agreed with PSV. Sangare has just arrived here. He's completed his medical, I understand. It's now a race against time there. They've got 27 minutes to complete that deal and get Sangare done as well. That would be 5. Divock Origi, loan from AC Milan. We think that's done. We're waiting for confirmation of that. That would be 6. Boy, oh boy, what a day for Nottingham Forest.
Indeed. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, that's new Forest keeper, one for us all to practice, I think. Why do you think Paul Merson's not here? He's getting ready for tomorrow. Luton, the next team we can bring you breaking news from. They lost in the Friday night football to West Ham tonight, but there is some positive news to end the evening on with Jamie Weir.
Yeah, that's right. A manic day for Luton Town. They've been literally putting the final touches to the rebuilding work on Kenilworth Road today ahead of Friday night football. A disappointing result for them tonight, but a very proud night for all the Luton fans who are in here. And they've now just announced their 12th and final signing of the summer. It is Albert Sambi Lokonga on loan from Arsenal for the rest of the season. Another midfielder. They've kind of focused on rebuilding the midfield this summer. They've made Marvellous Nakamba a permanent transfer, a huge part of their promotion push last season. Brought in Tahith Chong, who was fantastic, I have to say. Tonight, Ross Barkley, probably their most high-profile marquee signing of the summer, albeit he came in a free. And now Albert Sambi Lokonga, another body in midfield. So for Gary Sweet, the chief executive, I've seen him since 3 o'clock this afternoon. He's been walking around proud as punch because this is a huge day for Luton Town. He's barely slept since the playoff final. £10 million worth of refurbishments to this stadium and rebuilding the squad as well. 12 signings made for Luton Town over the course of the summer. And the last of them all, Albert Sambi Lokonga on loan from Arsenal.
Jamie, thank you very much indeed.
OK, I think we've got some more breaking news for you. At Bournemouth, we can go to Mark McAdam, who's there for the latest. Is this positive news or not so positive news for the fans, Mark?
It's a bit of both, very much in the balance at the moment. Let's first of all just confirm a couple of pieces of news that we've been speaking about on Sky Sports News throughout the course of this evening. Keith Moore to Millwall is off, and unfortunately as well, Patson Daka from Leicester City on a season-long loan to Bournemouth is also off. but the deal that Bournemouth fans are hanging on every word that I say at the moment is that one of the Leeds winger, Luis Sinisterra. We know that the club are actively trying to get this deal done, but it's been described to me as very much in the balance. They are going to have to work right to the wire to get this one sorted. We understand they're still going through the final details of any potential deal with Leeds. The player is having a Bournemouth medical at the moment, but they are in a real race against time to get this one sorted. It may even go beyond the 11 o'clock deadline. We know that clubs can apply for a 2-hour extension if all of the paperwork is completed in time. It just allows them a little bit more time to get all the formalities signed off and sorted. We know they are trying to get the deal sorted. However, this is going to be one to watch for the few moments that we have until 11 o'clock. I'm just going to keep my eyes on my phone to see if there are any updates on this one. At the moment, none. But I'll keep you right across things as Andoni Iraola tries to get one final piece of the Bournemouth jigsaw sorted today. He's going to have to work right into the night to get it sorted.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Mark McAdam there at Bournemouth for us this evening with the latest from them as he drops his mic. End of the night for him, is it? Mic drop moment from Mark McAdam. Let's just have a quick chat with the guys here in the studio, shall we? Michael, I'm going to come to you again about Nottingham Forest. We heard from Rob Dorset there. I mean, not quite to the levels of last summer, but they have been busy again, haven't they? And a new goalkeeper among the new faces.
Yeah, they're certainly doing that. And that's something they do. They are proactive. We questioned them last year with the amount of players that came in. I always said, look, we can't be critical at times. There was an awful lot of players went out who were on loan or the contracts run out. We've probably said 26, 27 players were a little bit too many for Steve Cooper to deal with. However, they got what they wanted. They stayed in the Premier League, so it was positive. Players left in the summer again on loan. We look at Henderson going back to Manchester United, Lodi back to Atletico. So they brought players in. It looks like Brennan Johnson is going to leave. So they have been proactive, and that's one thing you can never question with Nottingham Forest. You look at Sangara looking like he's in Nottingham. There's not an awful lot of time for these deals to get done, but they've obviously been going on through the day, and that'll be another positive one. Brought another keeper in. Very positive for Nottingham Forest. Yeah,
I want to come to Clinton on Luton in a moment, but just a quick one from you, Chris. You watched PSV the other night, obviously against Rangers. Sangari.
Yeah, very good. Think of him? Very good. Well, we spoke about. I wouldn't be surprised if PSV Eindhoven have to fight off some bids for a few of the players. Bakayoko as well was. So yeah, I mean, it looks as if they will lose a few. But there's one thing: if the deals have to get done, then they're signing a top player because we've seen that over the 2 games against Rangers. But yeah, I liked what the look of, especially Sangari as well, and Bakayoko. They were good players.
Yeah, Ibrahim Sangari arriving at the City ground this evening, so that is yet to be done with 20 minutes to go. But the goalkeeper is in. Odysseus Vlachodimos has signed. Clinton, I wonder what about Luton. Forest came up last season and they stayed up. Luton have made a number of signings. We've just heard about the latest Sambi Lukonga joining them. They've lost tonight. They're still without a point. Are you concerned about Luton despite the business they've done?
It's always going to be hard, though. So it's hard. It's hard to compete in the Premier League. The Championship to the Premier League, it's a big gap. Yeah, they have signed a lot of players, a few in particular that know the league, and Ross Barkley on a free transfer. But it's going to be difficult for Luton. It's the home games that they have to win. And obviously, their first home game was cancelled. They were meant to play against Burnley. And you have to beat the teams that are going to be in and amongst you, around you. West Ham was always going to be a tough night. And obviously, first home game playing in the Premier League there, it was difficult for them. But it's going to be a struggle for Luton. But I think everyone at Luton knows that. I think the hierarchy, Rob Edwards knows it's going to be a battle for them. But as I said, you said that Lukonga will be a decent signer. He's not bad in midfield. He'll be all right. He'll break it up, give it simple. But you need to score goals if you want to survive in the Premier League.
I think what they haven't done, they haven't gone and broke the bank.
Yeah.
They've done it with a structure and we've gone and signed players. Look, been given an opportunity in the Premier League, you look at the list, there's not too many of those that have got Ross Barkley with Premier League experience. I look at the rest, Tim Krul signing from Norwich. There isn't an awful lot. But that's we can't be too critical because we're going to spend all the money and it goes down. They want a good structure in a football club. And
I think that's what they've done all the way through the leagues as well.
Yeah.
I mean, their chief exec was on earlier speaking ahead of the game, and I thought he spoke really well in terms of the structure and the way they've went about their business, and who can actually, you can't criticise them because it's been successful for Luton Town to be back in the top tier of English football. It's an unbelievable story, and you kind of look at it, the stadium's going to be done up a little bit. But in terms of the finances going forward, I mean, this could be, well, it is. It's going to be life-changing for Luton for the next few years.
OK, guys, many thanks indeed for now. Vicky.
Yeah, we're just going to move away from the transfer deadline day window at the moment because we heard the sad news this evening that the former Fulham owner, Mohamed Al Fayed, has died at the age of 94. The Egyptian-born businessman was obviously best known as the former owner of the Harrods department store, but of course Fulham Football Club in London as well. As you can see, our chief reporter Kaveh Solokol joins me now. So what can you tell us about this news?
Well, Fulham have put a very warm and heartfelt statement on their website, as you would expect, and there's a tribute from the owner of the club, Mr. Shahid Khan, who says that on behalf of everyone at Fulham, I send my sincere condolences to the family and friends of Mohamed Al Fayed. I join our supporters around the world in celebrating the memory of Mohamed Al Fayed, whose legacy will always be at the heart of our tradition at Fulham. And what an incredible legacy it was, because when he bought Fulham back in 1997 for £6 million, they were in the third tier. And he famously said that we're going to get to the Premier League in 5 years. And they actually did it in 4 years. And under Mr. Al Fayed, they established themselves as a Premier League club. The training ground was redeveloped. The stadium was redeveloped as well. He spent a lot of money on managers and players, and they had some incredible times. And I think the standout season was in 2010, when Fulham got to the Europa League final, unlucky to lose against Atletico Madrid. But on the way there was one night when they beat Juventus 4-1, when they were 3-1 down from the first leg. And Mr. Al Fayed described it as the greatest game ever at Craven Cottage.
OK, Kaveh Solokol, thank you very much for that.
A little over 15 minutes to go on transfer deadline day. Ibrahim Sangare has arrived at the City ground. A £30 million fee has been agreed with PSV for him to join Nottingham Forest. He's done his medical. There is a knock-on effect with the Brennan Johnson deal, so it's not done yet. This could go to the deadline. Is he going to join for £30 million? Stay with us to find out.
Thomas Shepherd's here, which can mean one thing.
What's that?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Look, at 12 minutes, 52 seconds and so on, let's talk about deals that are just about getting over the line. Where are we with Brennan Johnson?
So that's the big one we're waiting for. Nottingham Forest to Tottenham Hotspur, £47.5 million. Nottingham Forest were standing firm on their valuation. If you remember, way back in early July, Brentford went in with a bid for £30 million for Brennan Johnson, and it was described to me as derisory and insulting, dismissed out of hand. They were saying, we won't even consider bids unless they're in the region of £50 million.
Wow.
They waited and waited, and look what's happened. In the region of £50 million, £47.5 million. Nottingham Forest get a 10% sell-on if Tottenham end up selling Brennan Johnson on to another club. So we're expecting that one to happen quite soon. And I'm told, and I'm sure we'll explain this in a moment, it's not a deal sheet deal. So we think they've got everything done by 11 o'clock.
We love a deal sheet. We're coming to that. But have you got any other business for us?
Yeah, so we know that Albert Samuel Lokonga has made the move to Luton. We're still waiting on Rob Holding's move to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
That's a permanent deal, £4 million. Neil Maupay as well from Everton back to Brentford on loan. 2 Nottingham Forest ones, high-profile ones as well. Divock Origi. Burnley and Nottingham Forest had agreed a loan deal with AC Milan, and it looks like Origi has plumped for Nottingham Forest. We're just waiting for that one to go through. And a real coup for Forest, Ibrahim Sangari for £30 million from PSV. We've seen shots of him arriving at Nottingham Forest. That one should be announced very soon. And a very interesting one, Andrew Omobamidele from Norwich City to Nottingham Forest. Now, this one was started and agreed very, very late. He was actually with the Norwich City squad in Rotherham, because they're playing Rotherham away from home tomorrow. Once it all got agreed, there was a rush for him to get from Rotherham to Nottingham to have his medical. That one could be a deal sheet. It's not been confirmed to me yet, but that was agreed so late that that one may need a little bit more time. But Nottingham Forest are pushing to try and get that deal done. I mean, they are the story of deadline day.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Incredible number of signings they're trying to make in one day.
Yeah, be interesting to see how Steve Cooper sort of muddles his pack.
Yes.
So I brought you over here to say that it can mean only one thing at this time of the night. Deal sheet. Explain
Just
what that
before,
means.
very quickly, just before I go, Forest, before they went for the Norwich City defender, were trying to get Trevor Chalobah.
Yeah.
That one didn't happen after his move to Bayern Munich had fallen through. That didn't happen before 5 o'clock because that was the deadline in Germany.
Yeah.
Tottenham, we think, inquired about Trevor Chalobah, but that deal hasn't got done. Trevor Chalobah, as it stands, staying at Chelsea. Deal sheet, let me quickly explain. So we know that the deadline is 11 o'clock. How long? Less than 10 minutes to go, but don't go anywhere, because if a deal is agreed quite late, but the majority of the work and the intention of the transfer is done early enough, teams and clubs can put in a deal sheet after 9 o'clock. Between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, both clubs have to sign it. The player has to sign it as well.
So deal sheets could be going in right this second?
They could be. Right, okay. Now, if that happens between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, for a domestic transfer, you then get an extra hour to get that deal done. So it has to be done and agreed by midnight. For an international transfer, by 1 o'clock in the morning. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Back to you, lot.
They thought they were leaving at midnight. Should we tell them they're staying till 1? They've got Soccer Saturday tomorrow, you know. Let's just pick up... Well, first of all, just a couple of bits of news just reaching us. Ross Stewart to Southampton, done deal. £10 million package for the striker, apparently a 4-year deal. Hampered by injuries in the last couple of years, but he certainly knows where the back of the net is. So he is on his way to Southampton. And a bit of news from Scotland as well. Confirmed deal for Aberdeen, a loan deal. Stefan Gartenmann has joined Aberdeen on a season-long loan from the Danish Super League side FC Midtjylland. He's a 26-year-old defender. That's 13 summer signings now for Aberdeen. We have just over 8 minutes to go till the transfer window closes in England. Let's talk about a few clubs. Well, one, first of all, that hasn't done any business. Sue, to my left, it's your beloved Everton. There's no news yet on Iwobi to Fulham. That's not been confirmed. There's no news at all on anybody coming into Everton. Does that worry you?
It does worry me, yeah, and there'll be a lot of Evertonians out there, I think, quite disappointed with that, especially if Iwobi does go. We're not sure about Damari Gray. Obviously, Cannon's gone. Mopé looks like he's gone as well. So I think you looked at Everton and you said, well, they need to strengthen in those attacking areas. They need more goals. Yes, they brought in Beto. They brought in Chimichi, a young lad. Lots of, sort of responsibility on young shoulders there. I also think they needed to strengthen defensively. You look at, yes, Branthwaite and Tarkowski probably look like quite a good partnership. Keane as the other central defender, but another central defender would have been quite nice, I think, for Everton. But certainly if players go, it's really worrying if they don't bring anybody in. They've been linked with lots of players, but that hasn't happened. So I think a lot of Evertonians are pretty worried right now.
Would Alex Iwobi, if this goes through to Fulham, be a loss, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. I think something that he has been is he's energetic, he's up and down, he gives everything for Everton. And I think if Everton lose him, he'll be a massive loss. I mean, you look at him last year, very, very poor season for Everton. But one thing he was a driving force and probably was a big factor in them staying in the Premier League.
And staying with Fulham, a deal this morning when I was looking through all the news, it looked like it was happening. Paulinho looked like he was leaving Fulham. I think he was leaving Germany, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That move to Bayern Munich didn't happen. A good mate of mine is a Fulham fan. He is very relieved. Should they be?
Yeah, and rightly so. I'm surprised. When you see the money that a lot of the Premier League teams have spent, I'm surprised that there's not been interest from Paulinho, because I think he's been an outstanding signing for Fulham since he's come in from Sporting Lisbon. So I'm surprised, but if Bayern Munich come calling, then you might have an unhappy player returning. But I think they were linked with McTominay as well. Couldn't get that deal done. Fulham couldn't get a replacement in, and that's the other side of it when you're under contract and your team can't get someone in to replace you. But I'm sure he'll be gutted, absolutely gutted that the Bayern Munich deal has fell through, because it's an opportunity to join one of the most successful clubs in the world.
I found it strange, or did you not find it strange this morning when you wake up and think Fulham have given him, go on, you can go over to Bayern Munich, sign, but they haven't got a replacement in place.
Fee was never agreed.
It was never agreed. I always thought it was a little bit strange, Jules, that going, we give you the green light to fly over, but we haven't agreed a fee and we haven't got a player in. I found it a little bit strange, but Paulinho must be absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
You're over there thinking your dream's going to happen, you have photos, and all of a sudden you're coming back. I mean, he was marvellous for Fulham last year, and as a team, and Marco Silva, they were great, and it can only be a positive for Fulham that he's coming back.
Yeah, but you look at Manchester United and Liverpool have been linked with that holding midfielder. I mean, there's not many better than him in the Premier League.
Definitely.
I mean, Clinton, you think they'd lost Mitrovic already in his goals? Fulham fans will say we really couldn't have lost Paulinho as well, because the influence he had in the centre of midfield.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. If I was Liverpool, I would have gone and got him. Without a shadow of doubt, I think he's one of the best around at the moment. He will be unhappy, but he's spot on. You think to not go over to Bayern Munich and play for a big club like that, supplying passes to one of the best strikers in the world in Harry Kane and winning stuff. But listen, it didn't happen. It'll go back to Fulham. It seems like he's a great professional. And as I said, they couldn't get anyone in the door. And yeah, it's obviously Bayern's lost, it's Fulham's gain. So yeah, obviously it's a huge blow for him as well. But it could happen again in January. They probably revisited them. But as I say, Fulham needed to keep him because they couldn't get the midfielders they wanted through the door. Is there anything on Palace? Any strikers yet?
Nothing new at the moment. No, obviously the Ekatike line we brought earlier, keeping an eye on that one.
Just wait. There might be breaking news. I just had a message on my phone, but I'll leave it there.
Huh? Right, OK. Do you want to have a look?
Go on, you can break it to everyone.
No, I think we have to go to a break.
No, we've got a couple of minutes. I have got an update on the Iwobi situation, though. I said it hadn't been done. It hasn't, but we understand that is one of the deal sheets. Diamond was explaining all about the deal sheets. It comes up every time we have a transfer winner, doesn't it? These are the deals that could go on past 11 o'clock, but the paperwork will be in. So Iwobi's transfer from Everton to Fulham, that deal sheet is in. So that one should be confirmed. Well, that hasn't been. Yeah, and Iwobi going to Fulham. So what do Everton lose without Alex Iwobi?
Certainly a good deal for Fulham. I think you looked at him under Dyche would play wide, but under Lampard when he played in those central positions, I thought he was brilliant. I just think energy, hard work, he'll have a go, he assists goals now and again, but I just think it's that sort of driving force. I think you mentioned that, when you need somebody to step up, he'll certainly do that. So I think it's a good deal for Fulham. I think for Everton to not replace him. You've
had a good signing, though. Beto is a good signing for Everton. I think you lose Iwobi's a huge loss. I don't understand why you've lost Iwobi and not brought anyone and a wide man in when you've got injuries to players like McNeil as well. I'm very surprised. But I do think Beto will be a good signing. If you can get Calvert-Lewin fit, I think Everton will be all right. So I know Jules and Sue will be happy.
But it makes you wonder as well, if Iwobi is going, and there's no no news at the moment about Damari Gray, whether they feel they have to then keep hold of him.
Yeah, that's a
They
good,
have to.
Yeah, they're going to have to keep hold of Damari Gray, aren't they? I know he's not been involved for the last, 2 or 3 weeks, but they have to. He's an exciting player and he can deliver playing out wide. Sometimes they played him through the middle. I don't think he's a natural striker. He wants to play wide and deliver crosses. And as I said, when you got them 2 strikers, I think Everton fans be a bit optimistic.
He's disappointed Muppy's moving on as well.
Just another deal sheet to bring you. And this is Andrew Omobamidele to Nottingham Forest from Norwich. He's been in Rotherham, where Norwich play tomorrow. He's made the journey down the M1 to Nottingham. And the deal sheet, Darmash just informed me, is in for him as well. So that's one that should go through. Clinton, you're nodding. I think Darmash said the £20 million was the sort of thing.
Yeah, he's an Irish international, though. He's young. He's a good player. But what? Nottingham Forest have signed some players. Yeah. Everyone says about Chelsea.
Said that before,
said about Chelsea signing players. Yeah. I know Chelsea has spent a lot of money, but Forest have signed a lot of players. They must have so many players through the door, and there's not many that's gone out. There's quite a few that's gone out. So, they're going. I feel sorry. It's going to be a struggle for Steve Cooper to keep everyone happy.
But we said that last year, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, that one's a surprise for me. £20 million for a 21-year-old, yeah. Are you buying potential? I mean, money's gone crazy. But we've talked about Brennan Johnson, the wanted near £50 million. And it's nearly, it's gone literally. If Sangari comes in 30 million and
Omobamidele.
Thanks, Clint.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's Omobamidele.
That's your £50 million gone, and you think, wow, is he going to go straight into that back three that he plays with Scott McKenna, Bowley and Joe Worrell? Where's he going to fit in? We talk about Felipe hasn't kicked the ball for him yet.
I think a lot of the signings have been young, though, so there might be an opportunity to bring them in and sell them on. But as you look, a lot of teams might have been a case of bringing in experience to try and stay in the league. You know, Nottingham Forest have went about it a different way this season.
They have been one of the busy sides tonight, that is for sure, but time is nearly up. 1 minute and 15 seconds. We're waiting on Brennan Johnson to Tottenham from Nottingham Forest. We're waiting on Iwobi from Everton to Fulham. The deal sheet is in for him, and there are a number of other deals involving Premier League clubs that we will still be, I'm sure, confirming for you after 11 o'clock. But the window is about to shut, the only window that needed to open this summer, really, as the rain fell and the sun failed to shine. But the transfer market has been absolutely red hot, hasn't it? Saudi Arabia shook up the status quo with Benzema, Mahrez, Henderson, with Neymar, Mitrovic, Kante, all lured by the kingdom's riches. Liverpool resisted, though, a no-go for Mo. So far, but sleepless nights no doubt still remain for Jurgen Klopp as the Saudis flex their financial muscle. The Premier League hit back, spending more than ever before as Bowley passed £1 billion at the bridge. Central midfielders were in high demand. They came at a pretty price. Rice to Arsenal, Caicedo to Chelsea as well. England's record scorer left for Germany as Kane said Auf Wiedersehen to Spurs. Their new number 10 looks quite a good fit, though, unlike Harry's lederhosen. An unprecedented summer, $6.5 billion spent worldwide. It's been bonkers. But once Big Ben bonds, we can focus on the football, unless Saudi Arabia has other ideas. It's been 3 months, hasn't it? It has been busy. We've got lots going on tonight still. Our panel are here all the way through till midnight, even though they're back in this studio in 12 hours from now for Soccer Saturday. Vicky, over to you.
Yeah, we have some breaking news just reaching us. It's concerning Mason Greenwood. He has parted ways with Manchester United. Getafe have confirmed this evening it's a season-long loan with them this evening. So that's Mason Greenwood, a season-long loan to Getafe. OK, let's go back to Jules.
So, Vicky, thanks for that. Let's talk Nottingham Forest, as we have done for a lot of this evening. We've got some news involving them and also involving Tottenham. Michael Bridge is the man who can tell us, I think. Can he? No, he can't. So...
Sleeping.
Yes, I think he is ready. He is. Had a little nap, but he's back. Go on, Michael.
I'm ready. Yes, Tottenham have completed the signing of Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. The Spurs have signed Brennan Johnson. It's around £47.5 million until 20. The squad number 22. It's someone who Ange Postecoglou's some time.
He didn't rule it out earlier in the press conference, and for one reason only, he wanted the player, and now he's got him. Spurs have signed Brennan Johnson, and that is all their business done. They wanted maybe a few more in, but as we said in the very first live this morning, today here at Tottenham Hotspur was a case of ifs. If they could get a few players out, a couple went out on loan, but not enough. So Spurs... I've gone.
Oh, no. Isn't that annoying? He's waited all day for the big deal, and that's when the technical hitches start.
Absolutely buzzing.
Oh, poor Michael Bridge. Well, let's open it up then. I mean, we have chatted earlier in the evening about it, but it is now done. Brennan Johnson, Sue, is a Tottenham player. What do you make of it?
I think it's a very good signing. The boys spoke about it earlier when they said, like, obviously it's a lot of money, so expectation is straight away on him. But I think, Postecoglou spoke about it's difficult to replace Harry Kane. So I think, replace his goals, replace his assists. So I think what he's going to try and do is get that from all over the pitch. And he's another player that obviously can provide that. He can play in different positions across the front line. I think the fact that he is so quick and he will stretch the play, that'll leave space for the likes of Maddison. And you can just imagine that link-up play, can't you, with Maddison and Brennan Johnson. So I think it's obviously a great move for him, and lots of pressure, but he's a young man with lots of potential.
Well, Nottingham Forest have been waiting for that deal to be completed before they were able to replace him in their squad. Are they going to do that tonight? The deadline has passed. Sangare is the man they have been looking at. Is it going to happen, though? Rob Dorset has been following this and many deals at Nottingham Forest all day long. He's live with us now. Rob, what do you know?
Jules, we still don't know. There are still 3 deals that Nottingham Forest think they got over the line in time for that 11 p.m. deadline, but they are awaiting confirmation of them. Let's tell you about the 4 deals they have got done on transfer deadline day. Callum Hudson-Odoi, £5 million from Chelsea. He's signed a 3-year contract. Odysseus Vlachodimos, the goalkeeper, Greece international, £7.7 million fee from Benfica, a 4-year contract that he's signed. Nuno Tavares, left-back from Arsenal, signed on loan with an option to buy. Nicolas Dominguez, midfielder from Bologna, swap deal with Remo Freuler, 5-year contract that he's signed. Those are the 4 they've done. Sangare they really want. Those noisy fans you can hear at the gate, they want to know that Ibrahim Sangare has completed his £30 million move from PSV. Forest would not sanction that until they knew that Brennan Johnson had been done and they had that £47.5 million coming in. We wait to hear whether they got that deal over the line. Divock Origi, we think that one was done. A loan from AC Milan, again with an option to buy. Don't expect to see him in the UK today. He may well come over at some point over the weekend. And Andrew Omibamidele, fee agreed with Norwich for £20 million. Again, the deal sheet we know was in before 11 o'clock. They're waiting for confirmation that that deal is done. So Brennan Johnson out. 4 players definitely in. 3 more that Nottingham Forest are waiting to hear about. And we can just tell you one more thing before I go, actually, that they are prepared for the signing of Sangare. We can show you some pictures of what they've been doing around the stadium, ready for the welcoming video to welcome Ibrahim Sangare from PSV. They've been flashing the floodlights here for a special photo shoot that we think they were doing with Sangare out on the pitch at the City ground. They've got all the prep ready. They've got all the PR ready. Have they got their man? They were waiting for confirmation from the Premier League that Sangare is a Nottingham Forest player. We'll tell you as soon as we know.
Sangare hopefully heading into Nottingham Forest. Let's just get a bit more on the man who's just left Forest. Brennan Johnson going to Tottenham. We can rejoin Michael Bridge. I think we've re-established our contact with him. Michael, over to you.
Jules, I heard all of your guests laughing at me there. All right, you got to sort them out. I heard them all laughing. Not very nice. Been here since 7 a.m. We love it, though, don't we? We love it. Yeah, just confirmation, of course, from Tottenham's side that they have signed Brennan Johnson. He'll wear the number 22 shirt until 2029. I spoke to Ange Postecoglou earlier. He said, look, we cannot replace Harry Kane. It's just impossible. This is the kind of player he wanted. Direct, can play all across the forward line, fast. It's someone he's wanted. It's someone he asked Daniel Levy about and the Tottenham board quite some time ago. It's someone he looked at. Spurs gave him a couple of options in the loan market. This is the player they wanted. Obviously, Nottingham Forest fans are gutted, but as Rob was just saying, look at the players they've brought in today. They've said goodbye to Brennan Johnson with a heavy heart. Spurs bringing in someone who's homegrown as well, which is very important. Just very quickly, I know it's such a busy hour. No more incomings, of course, now. There was a little bit of talk about Trevor Chalobah. talk about Conor Gallagher, talk about Lloyd Kelly, but Spurs, there's so many big-name players who are still here, so plenty to ponder for Ange Postecoglou, because he also said to me earlier that he has got to get a squad of 25. It's a bloated squad. Some have gone out on loan today. A few more would have been ideal. Overall, in terms of the window, they'd be delighted that they've got in James Maddison. What a great start he's had. Vicario in goal started well. Mickey van der Ven started well. Destiny Aduge started well. Ange Postecoglou has started well in the league. Brennan Johnson's in. Let's see if that's enough for Spurs over the next few months before January.
Well, and you've finished strongly, Michael. Well done, thank you. And I have ticked off our guest. Don't you worry about that.
Good.
Oh, Michael. Right, we've got some breaking news from Burnley. They've completed a deal just before that window closed shut. I think Mark Bensard can bring us the update. Mark, what have you got for us?
Evening, Vicky. Yeah, that's correct. They've left it late, very late, in fact, but Burnley have completed their 15th signing of this summer transfer window. They agreed a deal with Genk for the Belgian international Mike Tresor. He's agreed a season-long loan move to Turf Moor. He's a Belgian international, as I say, capped a couple of times for his country. He will play out wide as a winger initially, but he fancies himself more of a number 10 and will drift inside from a wide position. And he creates lots of assists over the course of the last couple of seasons, over 30 assists over the last 2 campaigns. And he's got good delivery from set pieces as well. So a really good addition to Burnley's attacking ranks and could be a shrewd bit of business. Lots of potential still in him, but good experience too. He played in Genk's recent Champions League and Europa League qualifying campaign, so he could be, let's say, a nice extra addition into the forward ranks to bring some creativity to help Burnley stay in the top flight. Overall, a pretty good transfer window for Vincent Kompany. 15 players in total, as I mentioned, and he strengthened right through his group, from goalkeeper right through to the forward line. So I think he will be pretty satisfied with the work that's been done here.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks ever so much, Mark. Vincent will want to listen to this because we've got some breaking news from Crystal Palace for Charlie Bardwaj. What have you got for us?
Yes, I can bring you breaking news here from Crystal Palace, and that news concerns Rob Holding. It's good news for Crystal Palace fans because Palace have confirmed the signing of Holding on a 3-year deal from Arsenal, in a deal believed to be worth around £4 million. And they've announced that signing on their official website. Let's have a look at what Rob Holding has had to say. He has said, "I'm excited to get started and get involved. Playing against Crystal Palace a number of years I have, seeing the fans and how intimidating Selhurst Park can be and how loud it can get. I'm looking forward to being on the right side of that this time." Now, Steve Parish, the Crystal Palace chairman, has also had a few words to say about the signing. He has said Rob is a player who will bring tremendous quality, possessing considerable Premier League experience for his age. Of course, Rob Holding is 27 years of age, and he gives us options in 2 positions at the back, and we warmly welcome him to Crystal Palace. So Rob Holding, the deal is done. He has joined from Arsenal on a 3-year deal, and he will certainly be providing cover in that centre-back position for Roy Hodgson. I asked Roy Hodgson about Rob Holding earlier on today, and he said, look, I would warmly welcome him to the club because I don't have a big squad, and so he's been playing at centre-back, Mark Gahey and Joachim Andersen, and they started 31 of Palace's 38 Premier League games last season. So cover there at the back, and of course he follows on from the arrival of Dean Henderson from Manchester United yesterday. So 4 new signings for Crystal Palace in this transfer window: Jefferson Lerma, Mateus França, Dean Henderson, and of course today, Rob Holding.
Good stuff. Good work from you. Thanks for Charlie. Busy time for Kirsty Edwards as well, who's at Worcester. We've got some breaking news from there as well. What have you got for us, Kirsty?
Yeah, we've got a done deal. Jean-Rigner Bellegarde is a Wolves player, and Wolves worked really hard and really quickly today to get this deal over the line. At about 6:30 this evening, a delegation were still flying over to Strasbourg to get the deal over the line. This is a French midfielder. He's 25 years old, as I say, played for Strasbourg. Scored a couple of goals already this season in just 3 matches. So the deal is over the line. It means that Wolves have now signed 2 midfielders today because, of course, earlier this morning they announced the official announcement of Tommy Doyle arriving from Manchester City on loan. So 2 midfielders incoming. They were hoping to bring a striker in today, but the Che Adams deal, they were hoping to get him on loan from Southampton. That deal fell through. So I'm sure Wolves fans will be a bit concerned about that area on the pitch, but they do have 2 new midfielders today with Jean Rickner-Bellegarde from Strasbourg, their latest signing, and I think their last business done today.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kirsty.
Just before I chat to our panel, just a couple of other lines to bring you news from Newcastle. They have allowed Jeff Hendrick to leave on loan and join Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship. So Wednesday signing Jeff Hendrick, the midfielder, the experienced midfielder, on loan for the rest of the season. New arrival at Rotherham from Aston Villa, defender Sebastian Revan. This is subject to EFL and FA and Premier League ratification, but the 20-year-old Villa Academy project, you can play across midfield or in defence, is on his way to Rotherham from Aston Villa on loan. We're talking about what would happen at Everton with Alex Iwobi seemingly on his way to Fulham. There's a deal sheet in for that, so that should be confirmed soon. Would they therefore keep Demarai Gray, who looked like he might be leaving as well? Well, the news we're getting is that Demarai Gray will be staying at Everton despite an offer from Saudi Arabia. I suppose you can never say never because their window's open until next Thursday, but the stance from Everton, we understand, is with Iwobi on his way, Demarai Gray will be staying. So in the last 15 minutes or so, we brought you news that Brennan Johnson has signed for Tottenham. And Rob Holding's an interesting one, leaving Arsenal, where he's been for a number of years, Clinton, to go to your old club, Crystal Palace. Another centre-back. Was it time for a move for him, and is this a good move for him?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think he only had a year left at Arsenal. He wasn't going to play regular. I know he come in last season when they had injuries, and he'll find it. I think it's competition for places. I think they've got a few centre-halves in that, but they find it hard to dislodge Mark Guéhi and Anderson because them two are outstanding as a partnership. But then if you pick up injuries, you've probably got James Tompkins and you've got young Richards, who they brought in from Bayern Munich, who's not been given an opportunity, who I think is a very good young defender. So I think Roy Hodgson and Palace just want competition for places. So he's got experience, Rob Holding, so I think it's a good signing. But, yeah, he's going to find it hard to get in front of Mark Guéhi and Anderson because they're 2 top centre-halves.
There are a few deals that we've mentioned. The deal sheets are in, so they've not been confirmed, even though the deadline has officially passed. One of those deal sheets in, which I'm just hearing now from Mark McAdam, who's been following Bournemouth, is for Luis Sinisterra.
Oh, wow.
The Leeds winger. Deal sheet is in, but there's no confirmation this is going to go through. Mark McAdam's saying it's in the balance, edging closer. Now, if this does go through, Michael, so many players from Leeds have been linked with moves away. I think about Willie Nonto, and Sinisterra was another. But if Bournemouth get him, how good a player are they getting?
Yeah, well, I saw him last week at Ipswich. Very direct, plays wide. I mean, look, they've brought Tyler Adams in from Leeds, so Sinisterra, if that deal does happen, which it looks like it will now, he's direct, wide, and we talk about what's happening, the way the press and the intensity. He will suit the way they play. On the front foot, getting at full-backs. He's direct, and I think it's a positive signing. What you've got to think, Bournemouth need that. They need bodies in the team and then the squad, and they haven't had the greatest to start. So bodies in and try and improve that team. And one thing he's very direct.
Bournemouth have done quite a bit of business, haven't they, this summer, Chris? Bournemouth?
Yeah, they had to. I mean, Bournemouth, they're always going to do business because they'll bring players in, and if they do well, then other teams will come and get them. I mean, we've seen Lerma moving on to Crystal Palace as well. So,
new manager as well, I suppose.
Yeah, so they're always. It's always going to be that case when you're down the bottom. You know, if you do well, teams are going to come and take your players, and you're always going to have to go into the transfer market. But you're just hoping that you get more right than what you get wrong. And you've got to say, recently, Bournemouth have done really well in that department.
They've spent £50 million on Alex Scott and Tyler Adams. When they're not fit, unfortunately, for Bournemouth at this moment in time, that is big for them. £50 million worth of players, and they're not fit. You need that kind of player in your team and in your squad.
Yeah. Let's get to some breaking news, shall we? We showed you those images a short time ago of Neal Maupay arriving at the Brentford training ground, leaving Everton on loan. But did Brentford leave it too late or not? Fadumo Olau can give us the answer. Fadumo.
Well, we've been patiently waiting all afternoon, but we can now confirm that Neal Maupay has signed to Brentford on a loan deal with an option to buy. And we got a chance to speak to him a little bit earlier before we headed off, and this is what he had to say. Familiar place for you?
Oh, it is. It's a bit bigger than when I was here, but it feels good to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, let me. Can I have the bit? So I'm so happy to be here. I feel home. So good day.
Yeah, you definitely had a great couple of years here at Brentford from 2017 to 2019 with 41 goals in 95 games. Hoping for similar success with Thomas Frank now?
Definitely. It'll be in the Premier League, so it'll be harder. But I'm looking forward to work with him again and meet my new teammates. Some of them I know them already from before, and I just can't wait to just get started, get going again. And like I said, I feel home here, so it's a great feeling.
It's quite a difference from the Championship side you were with to now this Premier League side that's been rising through the ranks. What are your expectations and hopes for this season?
It's a tough question, but Brentford is an amazing club that is going in the right direction, improving every season with great players. So I just want to be part of the history of the club again, and just help the club to win games and be a threat in the Premier League, and I think they are already. And I just gotta get into it and get on the pitch and do my things.
Well, the 27-year-old was a firm favourite amongst Brentford fans whilst he was here. He had a very successful period with the club whilst they were in the Championship, and unfortunately didn't find that same success with Everton, only scoring once at Goodison Park. But he will be hoping to match that success here at Brentford with Thomas Frank. So it's an exciting period for fans, exciting period for himself, and it does have an option to buy at the end of that loan period. So Neal Maupay is now a Brentford player, and we hopefully will be seeing him probably after that transfer, well, after the international break's over.
Yeah, a fresh start but in familiar surroundings for Neal Maupay. Thank you, Fadumo. So Maupay leaves Everton for Brentford. Alex Iwobi on his way to Fulham from Everton as well. That deal is not yet done. You know how deadline day works. It was 11 o'clock in England. It's midnight in Scotland, by the way. But deals are still being done. The deal sheets are in. We'll keep bringing you the breaking news here on Sky Sports News.